coach keeps saying, we are going to put the guys out there that put us in the best position to win. If Fedoni's still out there, if Harburg's still out there, if one of the offensive linemen that you hate is still out there, if the running back, whoever, if they're out there, I'm trusting Rhule that they are healthy enough and they are ready to go to put us in the best position.
Let me just start with this. Holy shit.
Okay.
I haven't stopped drinking since watching that game yesterday. Jesus Christ.
You know, the first thing I want to start by saying this. Stop killing Heinrich Harburg for yesterday's game.
Hey, before we go any further, I want all you junkies to like, subscribe, and share.
He's been the same guy the whole fucking time. This was just the rest of the team didn't pick him up the way that they have the last 3 games.
He looked like he regressed some. He missed a lot more passes than he had the previous couple of games.
I'm not going to say stop killing him because he deserves it.
I'm going to say stop killing the guy because he's the best guy that we have to run out there. And he is who he is. He is limited. He is not very good.
No.
But that's not a reason to keep just trashing on. Like, he's doing what he's being asked to do, and he's not good at it.
Well, the funny thing is that a lot of the, if you want to call it, trashing of a player that I've heard over the last, 18 hours since the game, people are still bringing up Sims and how much he sucks and how much of a mistake it was to bring him in. It's like, why is he even on anybody's mind right now?
It's that whole transitive property. Casey Thompson left because Jeff Sims came in. They think that if Casey Thompson was still here, it'd be a different story.
Okay.
Which may be a game like yesterday. We could have used Casey Thompson because for some reason yesterday, the run game was out the window and it was pass.
It wasn't just the run. Everything was just odd yesterday in that game. Rhule said it in his press conference. Everything that he was seeing from both sides of the ball just looked off.
Yeah.
We also don't know for sure, and I know that there are some people, and my buddy Lee commented on one of our YouTube videos about how he thinks that Sims' injury saved the season. And I know that he's way out on Sims and he's all on Harburg, and that's fine. That's your opinion. That's cool. But we don't know what would have happened if Sims didn't get injured. We don't know if he would have gotten better against and confidence against lesser opponents like Northern Illinois.
The turnovers have not gotten better.
We just don't know. I'm not saying that it would have been better with Sims continuing. You just can't say that it saved the season because you don't know how the season would have played out.
No, but what you can say is the turnovers have not gotten better.
Correct.
We still have the same fucking turnover problem that we had in week 1.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. Yesterday was almost solely on Harburg.
Well, there were a lot of drop passes.
There were a lot of drop passes.
Two
those aren't
officially.
turnovers.
According to the stats, there were 2 official drop passes, but there were a lot of more errant throws than dropped passes.
Yeah.
One of the other things, though, I was working for 3/4 of the game, so I listened to it on the radio. And in the first half, they would go down to the sideline reporter, Jessica Cootie, and she was constantly talking about how the defense would come off the field and they'd be sitting there on the sideline with their head down and with like no motivation and like, kind of just frustrated and everything else. That's not the defense that we've seen.
It looked so weird.
And not just in the last 3 games, but really all season. That's not the defense we've seen where even if they do screw up, they still go off the field. They got confidence. They're like, let's go back and do it again the next time.
Yeah.
The fact that in the first half, they were reportedly just had their heads down and just weren't themselves, basically. You know, the defense has carried us this season. Defense didn't do their job on yesterday.
They did not play poorly. They didn't play up to what they have been playing.
Correct.
I'm not going to say that they played poorly because they look at the stats. They gave up a normal number of stats for a good defense. They did not play poorly. They didn't save the fucking game for us.
They gave up that, yeah.
The thing that this is going to lead me right into is asking this, and I think that there was some overall frustration in the game, just in general, and I think it started early with the awful officiating. I know that you don't like to give any credence to the officiating or let any of the blame for the game go on to the officiating. I'm not even talking about blaming the game on them. I'm talking about from a sheer standpoint of the Big Ten has to address this at some point. Like, they have to address how bad Big Ten officiating has been this year. It's not just in Nebraska games, and it's not just against Nebraska. It has been nonstop. I've seen it a ton in Iowa games. I've seen it a ton in the couple Maryland games that I've watched so far. It is just bad. The Big Ten officials are worse than stuff that I'm seeing on Maction midweek. It's fucking horrible. Terrible missed pass interference calls. Terrible missed, like, hands to the face stuff that's going on right at the line. Like, there was several different times yesterday that Michigan State's wide receivers were throat choking, poking, doing weird shit right at the line, getting away with it, and they were getting open behind our guys. Like, it was happening nonstop, and I'm not blaming any of the loss on the officials because the team didn't play well enough to win the game. Period. You have to overcome whatever obstacles, whether it's weather. The field was slick yesterday. They had snow the day before. Like, all those different things, those play a factor. You have to overcome those. But the officiating was fucking terrible. There was a touchdown literally given to Michigan State that everyone, including the commentators, including Dean Blandino when they brought him in, this is clearly not a catch. You know, this should be overturned. And then he comes back and says that the call on the field is confirmed. Not even stands, confirmed.
No,
it was just upheld, but he was like dramatic about it.
Okay.
He had like this stupid pause.
He did.
Like, it was his moment to shine. It was
fucking
ridiculous. Upheld.
Stands.
Yeah, it was fucking stupid.
It was almost like he was confused. Like, I know what I'm supposed to say, but I'm going to say this.
It seemed like he was pausing for dramatic effect.
It's wildly frustrating, especially when that winds up being a score that decided the game ultimately. And then you look at pass interference calls that were called on us. You look at different things that were called in the game that just, you know, a blatant. I've seen probably 40 fucking memes saying this reminds me of Kansas State face mask on Harburg, where it's there's nothing done.
It wasn't as bad as the Kansas State one, but
no, his head looked like he got ripped backwards. Rest in peace, Eric Crouch. But
Craig Oaks.
Yeah, you know, in the way that they mishandled the end of the game, and you have to at least stop play for a minute. You have to stop play before they go ahead, because what are you doing? By not standing over the ball, by not checking to see if there's something that needs to be reviewed on a turnover or a potential turnover at the end of a game like that,
or on a first down when they marked it 2nd and 1.
You have to change the way that the Big Ten is letting their officials call games. There has to be some more oversight and some sort of, NFL. If a crew gets if a crew has a game like that in the NFL, they get benched for the next week. Like, they're getting docked pay. They're getting all kinds of different stuff happening. I don't know what the Big Ten does with their officials if stuff like this happens, but this really, really, really has to be addressed.
Well, and it seems like a training issue because it's not the same crew that's fucking up every week.
No.
And it's happening in multiple games.
Like I said, it's not just Nebraska games.
It seems like it's the Big Ten just isn't doing a good enough job training their officials.
There were a couple calls in the Penn State-Ohio State game that, if you remember, that game was pretty tight all the way to the end that could have changed momentum in that game pretty easily. It's bad stuff.
I know that you're not doing this. I'm just saying this in a general sense. I don't have a problem with complaining about refs in games because they were terrible. Lots of missed calls. When you start using the word, they are the reason we lost and the blame stuff, that's where I'm like out on the conversation.
You got to overcome what you're given.
Like I said, I know you're not doing that. That's it.
At the end of the day, they fucked up 5 or 6 plays. If you think that you're going to lose the game over 5 or 6 plays, you already lost the game. You're not in a position to win.
Those are the dramatic moments, though, that people remember.
I get it.
Absolutely.
Especially when there's a touchdown given that
people remember the bad shit. I understand that.
And especially when it's at the end of the game.
You said that it didn't look like a touchdown just in the live frame before you even saw the fucking replays. That's how bad it looked.
Mm-hmm.
Come the fuck on.
Yeah. My fat ass sitting on a couch in Springfield called that better than
watching an 8-year-old TV, the 50-inch TV, from across the room. Like, it wasn't like he was looking in high def and had some sort of bird's eye view.
Now, I get it. I'm a genius and a professional, but
No. We are not professionals.
Remember, we are experts.
Yeah, we're experts.
No, we're not experts.
I'm an expert.
Fuck, guys, stop it. There's people going to be confused. Jesus.
Also, all of my betting advice says I went 1-4 this week is solid.
Hey, I did too. That Notre Dame Clemson game, holy shit.
There was a lot of weird football
Thank
that happened
God.
this week.
Go
There
Clemson.
was.
Also, thank you, Indiana.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, Indiana, what the fuck?
All of a sudden decided to play football this week.
Outside of that, the only other thing that I was going to say is stop killing Satterfield. I thought Satterfield actually called a really good game yesterday. The best game schematically that I saw as far as wide receivers getting open, which there was some back and forth, some debate with different people about why do we throw the ball so many times? In my head, I have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde going. Dr. Jekyll's saying, we're throwing the ball so many times because just mathematically, he's got to get some close enough to these receivers that are running blatantly wide open. We had guys getting open like I haven't seen in any other game this year, including Northern Illinois and La Tech.
Well, and also when you're sitting up in the booth and you're seeing guys running wide open.
Yeah, talk about it. You said you were listening on the radio.
Yeah.
You said Damon kept talking about it the whole time.
Like all the time, Harburg would throw one direction. He'd go, well, if he looked over here, Malachi Coleman would still be running with the ball and all that stuff. And to be fair, sometimes those are, who's the number one option read situation. And we've talked about it multiple times where you always see the one guy that's wide open, but sometimes the quarterbacks miss. That's life at every level.
There's guys. There were guys open in the Chiefs game that didn't get the ball today.
Exactly. So, to be fair on that aspect, but
there were a lot of plays where there were 3 or 4 dudes running open and he couldn't get a pass out.
Yeah. And that's why we threw the ball as much as we did.
But that's one of the things. If you're the offensive coordinator sitting up in the booth and you look down and you're seeing all these guys running wide open on a consistent basis.
Yes. If you execute, this should work.
You start to salivate.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, maybe we can throw the ball on this team. Maybe they're getting too far up, focusing on the run way too much. And what you just said, Matt, was one of the things that Damon brought up to Greg Sharp, where he asked him, he's like, what part of it is execution and what part of it is putting players in the best position to succeed and making play calls on that? It's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because you do have to execute the play. Everybody always likes to say the coaches can't make the plays for the players. But at the same time, if your players can't make those plays, you have to put them. So it's a give and take there.
I get that, but throwing the ball is half the quarterback's job.
It's more than half the quarterback's job. Making decisions and going through progressions, which he does not do. He does not do that. These are predetermined throws. That's the biggest thing I think that most people don't understand the difference between when you're watching a normal quarterback who can throw the ball even halfway efficiently. They're going through at least 3 reads. He is not reading anything. He is looking for one guy, sometimes 2 guys, but usually just one guy on a specific route for every play.
Yep.
He does a good job of looking things off to try and make sure that he's not giving it away and projecting it like a lot of people complained about Jeff Sims on several throws. He's doing a good job of that, but he's specifically looking for one guy. You can see him and the reason that I'm saying that, the reason I know that is because there's different times where you can see that it looks like he's looking one direction, just looking at his helmet. And there's a guy running wide open in front of him, and he looks over here and throws it over here to a tight coverage. Sometimes it happened yesterday in the game where
he throws it deep over the guy that's wide open in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I was going to say
he sees him, but he doesn't know. He doesn't have the throw in.
Yesterday, the almost exact same thing. He threw it into double coverage down the field when there was a guy literally running under that ball.
Yeah,
that was wide open.
Yep.
And it was not an overthrown ball. There's no way he was trying to go for the open guy. He just didn't see him. No. He's not looking for those. And so you have an extremely limited quarterback who's being put in a position where you said, are they put him in the best position to succeed? Calling the plays like they were yesterday and getting the guys open like they were yesterday. He was given everything to succeed yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
He just didn't.
Yeah. I don't think you can blame Satterfield.
No,
and people are torching Satterfield today and last night, and it's fire Sat, all this. He called a good game yesterday.
I agree.
The tentativeness that I started talking about 2 weeks ago that, you were kind of like, I don't see it. I don't. He reminds me of Adrian Martinez right now. He seems like he's afraid to fail.
I didn't see Adrian Martinez. That's what I said. But
it's just the tentativeness. That's what I mean in it. Like Adrian Martinez when he was a freshman, ran free. Every time that it wasn't there, and people complained about it a little bit because he wouldn't go through his progression fully. He would miss a guy that was wide open, and instead he would pull it down and run. Right now, yesterday, I just wish Harburg would pull it down and run. The one time he did, he got 43 yards.
And I'm no longer convinced that he's got some nagging injury because he runs just fine when he actually runs. So I think it actually is a mental. He's not confident in what he should do.
Like that one play that he got out of what should have been a sack, and then he ran for like 25 yards or whatever.
It was like 45 yards.
No, the 45 one was at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It was towards the middle of the game.
Oh, okay.
It was like 3rd and 16.
He danced a little bit, and he got a first down.
And he should have been tackled for a sack twice. And he got out and he ran. It was right after.
Yeah, there's no injury there.
It was he was bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
It was right after what should have been the face mask.
Yep.
It was the play right after that.
I remember what you're talking about.
You know, I rewatched the game this morning before we started recording, and another one. I know this is just one play, but it was indicative on a lot of plays. On our drive where we kicked the field goal to tie the game right before halftime.
Yep.
And as we were getting closer to the end zone, there was a whole bunch of different penalties. Holding, there was a illegal man downfield, a holding, defensive holding. There was like 2 defensive holding penalties, illegal man downfield on us, offsetting, all that stuff. The very first defensive holding penalty was the defender against Malachi Coleman.
That was the bailed out interception.
No, that was the second defensive holding. I'm talking about just before that.
Right.
They gave us like 50 yards on that drive.
This was the offsetting.
The interception was the play before.
The offsetting one where it was illegal man downfield and defensive holding. On that play specifically, I know it would have ended up getting wiped out, but the fact of the way Harburg threw the ball, Malachi, even after getting held and abused, ended up getting position almost like a basketball player, boxing his guy out, sealing him off. Just put it right on his numbers.
Put it on his chest.
But he threw it way behind him and all over to the side. It's like, just throw it right to him.
If I can give him a little defense on that one, he just got ripped his ass by Rhule coming off the field for not throwing it out the back of the end zone when a guy's overcovered. Because he had just thrown that pick that got wiped out, thank God, because of the defensive holding call, which it was. Like, the guy probably, I think it was also Malachi at the time, probably would have been in position, but he did get held up bad, actually, twice on that play.
Michigan State did that the entire game. It's like the refs just got tired of calling
it. Well,
the
refs were not calling shit.
Yep.
The refs were not calling shit. There were.
Well, they were against Michigan State. They had 7 penalties for 70 yards.
But they were playing so chippy,
more.
And they were playing like, I don't give a fuck. I'm out here to just do whatever I want to do. That one guy, Molman or whatever his name was, I think he was he was either corner or safety for Michigan State. That dude was holding on damn near every pass play, and I think he got called twice for it. But outside of that, it was nonstop. The refs just weren't doing anything about it, and it's frustrating. We got ourselves worked up on the refs, but as far as all that goes,
I was worked up on the team, but
I'm worked up about it all.
Why do you think I've been having so many beers?
I'm
worked up about all of it.
I really think people just need to lay off Satterfield because
at least for this game,
I saw a good game plan yesterday, but the props I think that need to go the most for anybody in this game, the 2 coordinators for Michigan State. They had a great game plan set up. We talked about it in the preview show that, I think it was either me or Jed. You made some mention about there's going to be a couple long balls. They put a safety back there just waiting for him to throw one of those ducks up there. And
we tried the option pass and got blown up like crazy.
Oh, it was
Harburg tried to turn around and go bail out the back door and got killed.
Yeah, it was funny almost how they just knew he's going to throw a couple out there that are going to be real easy, and as long as we got somebody back here, we're going to get them.
Yep.
And they got 2 of them. They did the exact same thing on that turned up being that defensive holding call, but they just had a dude sitting there waiting for him to just lob an easy throw into the end zone like that. Luckily, that one got called back. That's why in the tweet I put in parentheses that he had 3 picks because he got bailed out on that call. But it's those types of throws that he's just. We either got to quit asking him to make them, or he's got to start doing better.
Which again goes to are you putting the guys in the best position? But I agree. With
I don't know how you.
It's
ask
also
your quarterback to just not throw the ball.
I know.
I don't know how you become that one-dimensional and do anything on offense.
We saw him cue on it.
Yeah.
We saw it against Purdue. They kind of took away the run, especially in the first half.
Yep.
And we saw it happen in this game. the run wasn't necessarily taken away.
No.
But the other thing, the guys over at True Husker Pod, I think, or True Big Red Pod, I don't remember which one it is for sure, but they made a comment about, I don't understand why we went away from the run. Like, well, in the second half, we were down by 2 scores. And yeah, we went away from it a little bit earlier. You don't get to 28 pass attempts in a game without going pretty pass heavy. But in the fourth quarter, we were, 9 minutes left. We're still down by 2 scores. We turn the ball over. We have to start throwing the ball.
Yeah.
There's no way to just try and continue chipping away 4 yards at a time. We don't move that fast, especially when we have to huddle up for every fucking play.
Well, one of my other big things about this game is our plays on first down, like yards that we were gaining.
We were behind the
Terrible.
behind schedule the whole fucking game.
First and second down.
Average yards gained on first down through the first 3 quarters, because the fourth quarter got, crazy, whatever. So just through the first 3 quarters, Michigan State gained an average of 7.5 yards a play on first down. We gained an average of 3.2. Like, you just are not going to be successful.
No.
Especially in our offense doing that. And you're already putting the offense or defense behind the 8 ball when you're allowing those types of yards on first down.
Yeah. We had 5 or 6 third down and double-digit drives.
Yeah.
Well, the defense, I think we talked about, Rhule didn't want to use the word flat in the press conference. That's what the defense looked like to me.
They did.
They
whole
came
team.
out, they looked pretty uninspired. I do think that it affects, especially a team who is, we've talked a lot in our earlier season shows about, he's got to rebuild the mentality. He's got to rebuild the mental fortitude and all those different things with this team. Yes, they are doing a lot better from that standpoint, but they still have that PTSD of those crumbling losses and being down on themselves and down about things that are working against them. The first touchdown that Michigan State scored, there was a receiver, there was a push off at the 3-yard line, and the receiver dove into the end zone and caught the ball. Like, it was a blatant offensive pass interference, or at the very least a push off. Should have been called, shouldn't have been a touchdown. And instead the defense goes to the sideline. I wonder if some of that happening early in the game is what caused some of the head down on the sidelines. We can't deal with the refs cheating us the game.
Some of that
It's some of the weakness that, that's what I saw, was some of the weakness kind of creep back in.
Yeah, some of that mental fortitude just has to come with time.
Yeah.
And it looks good some games and bad some other games. That's just how it's going to go this year.
Did you guys see the post-game press conference?
I watched it, yeah.
I saw clips.
So when they had the 3 defensive players, it was Ty Robinson, Isaac Gifford,
I only watched Matt Rhule. I didn't watch anything else.
and Omar Brown was sitting up there at the same time. And one of the reporters asked them, if there was, for lack of a better word, I don't remember the exact phrasing of the question, any almost complacency after getting the monkey of the 3-game winning streak off your back and, all that stuff. Of course, whether it's true or not, Isaac Gifford downplayed it and said, no, none of that, blah, blah, blah. That's what you're going to say, whether you believe it or not. Do you think there was a little bit too much of exhaling after getting that 3-game winning streak? There was such focus on getting a 3-game winning streak, where that might have played a little bit
There was just as much focus at getting to bowl eligible.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know that it was really a letdown from a standpoint of that, but I think it was maybe one of those, these guys don't know what winning is,
or the extra pressure to get to that 6th win.
I don't know that it was more of a pressure thing. I think it was more of a, we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. We got 3 in a row. We can, it's one of those, you're almost uncomfortable with success. You hear about people that, especially like a homeless person can get a job and start doing well in life, and they start doing this, and then all of a sudden something happens, they self-destruct. They're uncomfortable being happy and successful. That's the way that's kind of the feelings that I got after this game, was like, you guys just aren't comfortable being comfortable for a little bit. Because this game never even, Rhule's working with a limited roster. He's working with a roster that is not a winning team. This is the lowest FPI that we've been ranked from a roster standpoint in probably 5 or 6, 7 years. I don't remember for sure, but It's a very low end roster, and he's getting a lot out of them. And the ones that are left behind, like we said, from a mental aspect, they're going to remember these things, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're winning now. Now we're back to being the big dogs. Everybody's Nebraska's back. The black shirts are back." You have to be excellent every day in order to stay on top.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But at the same time, even though we were playing a down game, even though everything was bad, the game was still within reach at the very end.
Yeah. And we talked about the whole we won 3 straight games while losing the turnover margin battle.
That's
we obviously lost it.
That was not sustainable.
That's what we said last week, where it's not sustainable. So we need to figure out the turnover issue. Well, we didn't figure out the turnover issue, and it proved to not be sustainable.
Yeah. And it turned out that our defense wasn't able to go 16 consecutive quarters bailing us out.
Exactly. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Damn it. Your defense.
The buck
jerks.
stopped at 12.
That's the thing. You look at the stats, people are like, oh, the defense didn't play very well. Look at the stats. We still held them under 300 yards.
The defense played good.
Because they did, like you said at the very beginning, because they didn't play to the standard that they've shown.
Exactly.
That's why people are saying they didn't play very well.
There's no chance that I will blame this loss on the defense, though.
No.
You put a serviceable quarterback in there for this game, it's probably a 2 or 3 scores to the good win for us.
You put a reasonably well-tuned ball launcher in this game, and it's doing a little better.
I was like, ball launcher. It didn't register right.
We just need something that can throw the ball.
One of those jugs machines where only one tire works.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, it's always going to be just a little bit to the right. That's fucking funny. How did we do on the questions?
Let me pull up where I have.
Timeout. One more thing I wanted to mention. What the fuck, special teams? You take 2 or 3 good steps forward after not starting the season so hot, and then it was just like Bushimi fucking. That was the worst. I think that was the worst.
He was slipping all over the
punting
place on the
game
field.
Yeah, but that's one of those things. You have to overcome it. Their punter had a monster day. Are you telling me that he was on a different field?
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, like we didn't from a special teams note, we did not play very well at all.
Yeah.
Well, when you only have a guy back there that everybody on the field knows is not even going to attempt to return it.
That pissed me off so much.
Now, granted, we are not good at returning punts anyway.
No.
But when you don't even have the remote possible threat.
And when he knows that all he has to do is catch the ball and he's not being spatially aware and he's catching the ball on the 4.
Yeah,
it was a 50-yard punt and he caught the ball on the 4. The odds of that not going into the end zone are minimal.
And and I'm not trying to do the whole like consistency thing that some people have done in what Rhule and the coaching staff says, because overall they've been very consistent in the message that they've been saying.
I know where you're going with this. You have to make adjustments throughout the season.
But when you say all off season, we don't like to fair catch, we will return punts.
Yep.
And you literally just put a guy back there just to fair catch every single time. It just doesn't come off very well.
I was saying this to him during or right before the game started when we found out that Kemp was going to be in there to be fair catching punts.
Santino Panico.
What?
Santino Panico, old returner for us that literally averaged like 0.5 yards per return because all he did was either fair catch or just fall forward.
I didn't know where he was going with that either.
No, it was Bill Callahan era.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, cool. I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
I was younger than that.
Yeah, you were in diapers. No, let's get into the questions, man.
So the questions this week, as far as records go, BJ, you did the best. You went 5-2. The fans,
my pessimism paid off.
The fans went 4-3. Matt, you went 3-4. I went shitty and went 2-5.
Damn.
So that was bad. As far as overall, with your week, BJ, you are now tied for the lead.
Heyo.
I'm 1 behind
Came back.
you guys, and the fans are 2 behind you guys. So, let's see. Scroll up here. Question number 1 was, who will lead the team in receiving yards? Coleman, Fedoni, Doss, Lloyd, or other? Coleman had 3 catches for 43 yards. You know, with a lot of those passes that went to him that were not on target, he would have had
He could have had a big day.
Yeah. Matt and the fans took Coleman. Question 2 was fumbles by Nebraska, 3.5. They had 2.
It should have been turnovers.
It was just fumbles.
I know, it should have been turnovers.
Well, even then it would have been under because it was 3.5. So
Yeah, that was the weird thing, though. It's like we hadn't been throwing a lot of picks, and it had all been fumbles.
Yeah.
Which, I'm going to say this, the last fumble shouldn't have been a fumble.
You're right.
It should have been called an incomplete pass by Rhule, but didn't stop it. Not getting into it.
Matt, you were the only one to take the over on that one. Sacks by Nebraska, 3.5. The under hit on that one. We had 3. BJ and myself were the only ones took the under. The fans took the over. 100% of the fans picked over on that one. Not one person.
Nobody expected Michigan State to play this game the way they did.
Well, that was one of the things that I brought up about don't allow them to think that they have a chance early. Punch them in the face.
Whoever prepped them for
And we
this game
didn't.
did the opposite of what we did. They were there ready to play.
Right before the game started, Damon, I was just getting out to my parents' house to watch this game. Right as kickoff happened, I think we pulled in the driveway, and Damon had said, not 5 minutes before kickoff, he said, "Don't give them any false confidence.
Yep,
they shouldn't have confidence in this game. Don't give them any." And that's what we did on the very first drive.
It happened in the Minnesota game when Minnesota gave them two fumbles early in that game. Gave them, a mentality that they have a chance. And Minnesota gave them that opportunity. We gave them that opportunity. And it just snowballed from there.
Yeah.
Question 4 was Isaac Gifford tackles, 8.5. Massive
5,
under.
didn't he?
He only had 5. BJ and Matt, you took the under. Michigan State passing yards, 184.5. Major over, 232. They had 6 big plays for 174 of their 232.
On every scoring drive that they had a pass play of 25 plus yards.
Yep.
That was the other thing too. Their quarterbacks actually were putting the balls in some spots that were really nice. Like the actual non-touchdown touchdown. That was a really good ball and a really good play by the receiver. He just didn't complete the catch, but he got the catch. So
Well, and that one trick play with Alante Brown throwing it downfield. Man, Omar Brown was so close to tipping that pass.
yeah,
Yep.
It's like, God.
We were close. We were close on about 3 different tips in this game.
and they left it all out. Michigan State left it all on the field, and I don't want to take anything away from them.
No, they played hard.
They played the best game that they've played probably all season.
Yep.
They were there ready to go.
Yeah, they did everything they could to beat us, and they did.
Yep. And we let them.
Yeah.
Everybody took the under on the passing yards. Yards per completion by Nebraska, 12.6. That was the under at 10.75. BJ and the fans were the only ones to take the under on that one. The last one was Nebraska third down conversion on defense at 30%. A massive under because they only went 3 of 14 for 21.4%. And I was the only one dumb enough to take the over. That's it on the questions.
That's everything.
Man.
Yep.
I don't have any. I still believe we're heading in the right direction. I still believe that
1,000%.
What, you don't think everybody should be fired after one loss again? And
No.
all those dumb fucks that went into hiding after 3 games that, suddenly
That
don't
immediately
think?
crawled out of the woodwork again.
Oh, God.
Man, I'll tell you, I actually feel better.
Fire
Talk
Rayola,
about-
fire
talk
Satterfield,
about
fire
people-
them all.
Talk about people talking about people getting fired.
Jeff Sims is still to blame in week 9.
I have been one of the people crushing Satterfield the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
I actually feel better about him today than I have, just simply because I thought I saw a game plan yesterday that would have probably scored 35 to 45 points on that defense if we had a quarterback that could throw the ball.
Well, I mean, there's a question that we're going to be asking somebody very soon that I sent you guys. I'm actually feeling comfortable, and I've been crushing Satterfield since before the season started. This is the second game of him being up in the booth, and I think he's called 2 really
He
good
looks great up
games.
there. Yeah.
So, like,
He sees it a lot better.
What is what? I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but the wide receivers coach. Why was he up there?
Garrett McGuire.
Yeah, why is Garrett McGuire up there?
I mean, whatever.
Apparently, Satterfield wanted a little extra
I just
vision.
figure
Whatever their
a
preference
position
is, I don't
coach
know.
like that would be down on the field.
Huh?
But
Well, I mean, there's position coaches that are up there. I mean,
I don't know. I guess I just didn't realize that he'd be up there. I thought that was interesting, though. But
I'm not worried about it if he's diagnosing games well.
I think he called a good game. I think that I would like an explanation at some point of if we continue to see this product, why we don't see at least Purdy get an opportunity, because they've said that of all three quarterbacks, he probably throws the ball the best.
I'm honestly done with the whole somebody else should start or bring somebody in for a series, because
We're too far along in the season for starters.
but also if you look back at what Rhule has done in his first year with his quarterbacks, that's not him.
No.
He just does not do that. I understand the philosophy behind it, and a lot of coaches do that. Rhule doesn't. So that's just, unless Harburg gets injured, we're not going to see another quarterback. That's just not who Rhule is. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like it. Yesterday on game day, Nick Saban was one of the guys that came on. They were down in Tuscaloosa. He talked about how he benched his starter in the middle of the second or third game, and he sat out for basically a game and a half, and he got his mind right, and he came back, and he's been a top-tier quarterback the rest of the fucking year.
Yeah, Milrow.
Maybe we need a little bit of tough love on this, because that's the other thing, and I didn't bring it up, but I'm tired of all the Fedoni supporters and the Fedoni cock goblin fucking everything.
Jesus Christ.
Shut the fuck up. That dude sucks. Seriously, he misses blocks constantly.
That's
he
my
drops
biggest thing on
balls constantly.
Yeah, it's not
He's
even the
fucking
passing.
slow. He's not tough. Every time he catches the ball, he gets fucking breathed on and he goes down. Fuck you. Shut up. Stop supporting. Like, there are people that, like, there's like some fucking Fedoni fan club members. That
There are.
Shut up. The guy's not good.
The Fedoniati.
Ugh. That was frustrating. That was, besides the Harburg passing, that was probably the most frustrating part of watching the offense. Was he missed block after block yesterday, and
Really
the
bad.
dude dropped what he had. Did he have both of the drops?
No, it was Alex Bullock and Anthony Grant.
Well, I know Fedoni dropped at least one. That was an uncounted. The ball basically hit him in the hands and it fucking hit the ground.
Yeah, he's not playing well.
Enough bitching.
I remember one person on one of the post-game shows actually said, "Is Fedoni fully healthy?" It's like, Jesus Christ.
Well,
is
it
that
begs
going to
the
be
question.
is that going to be your excuse
It begs the question.
in week 9 when he keeps playing and everything else?
It's a toughen up mentality, though, I think that we have to get to. Rhule talked about it a couple weeks ago, right after or right before the Illinois game. He kind of said, I'm tired of them being babies. They need to get out there and play fucking football.
I have zero time for the are they healthy thing. Are they on the field? That's what fucking
If
matters.
you're healthy enough to play, you should be doing your job.
The head coach keeps saying, we are going to put the guys out there that put us in the best position to win.
Yeah.
If Fedoni's still out there, if Harburg's still out there, if one of the offensive linemen that you hate is still out there, if the running back, whoever, if they're out there, I'm trusting Rhule that they are healthy enough and they are ready to go to put us in the best position to win. Now, going back to towards the beginning of the conversation, is the execution always there? Clearly not. But at least in the moment, they're putting the best people out there for the best chance to win. And I trust that that's what they're doing, because it's not like they're going to say, this guy is not going to help us at all, so let's just throw him out there anyway.
Yeah.
That's not what they're doing. So
On to next week.
let's get fired up.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.